So my name is Aditya Bhandari, and let's see who I am, because everybody's dealing with an identity crisis at an age. Everybody's dealing with identity crisis at this age, early 20s, late 20s. I'm pretty sure I've met so many people who are dealing with identity crisis in their 30s. My father is dealing with one, so there is no denying the identity crisis. I feel like identity crisis, my talk is not about identity crisis, where it's just like verbatim, impromptu. But I would just say that if you are having, anybody's having an identity crisis here, you are at a great place. It gives you reasons to live. And it's basically an identification of the fact that you're questioning life, you're questioning the system, you're questioning things around you. And the conclusion here is that you are wanting to change situations around you. And hence, what we call is the identity crisis. Who is Aditya Bhandari? So I started primarily as a writer when I was age 19. Today I'm 24. Before the age of 19, I was a very serious student of the sciences. I had physics, chemistry, mathematics, and computer science. And my father is an ex-scientist. My mother is a school teacher who teaches science and mathematics. I have two elder sisters. My eldest sister is a scientist in Hyderabad and NIIT. My second sister is a professor of architecture, and they both are like 10 years older than me. So I was brought up with three mothers. I feel blessed. Don't laugh. I feel so blessed. Like I've had three mothers, and I hope you can have as amazing sisters as I had. So it just became a setting that it was very normal to pursue science, and it was very normal to do all the science stuff which we are proud of in our country, and I was following that way. Somehow or the other, I was good at mathematics and solving equations and whatnot, and I was just a happy kid, scoring marks, playing football whenever I get the time. School, sometimes coaching centers, and then home, and that was my life for 18 years. I didn't even travel anywhere till 18 that much. I was just going out with my parents once a year. So my whole life was in the area of South Delhi, between Kailash Colony, Amar Colony, and GK, because my school was in Kailash Colony. But then I hit 19, and both finally went off. And luckily I scored like 100 on chemistry, and I like stopped my school, and I was also the head boy and la la la. And in my head, I was in such a bubble that I just thought, hey, I think I'm successful. I think I have conviction of character. I think I've achieved immensely, because you're in such a bubble. You're in school, they tell you that, hey, you've done this and that, and you also luckily got this. And I was in my bubble, and then I entered college, and I just see things around. And in my, so I'm just imagining how many of you in the audience are 18 to 19 years old? Raise your hands. Right, raise your hands. Yeah, even like the 50-year-olds can say 18 and 19. I will take that as a for sure. Where you are more children than anybody here, and I hope you cultivate the child inside you. So I was just expecting that I'm going to go to this university, and I'm going to invent a few things. I'm going to publish research papers, and I am going to save the world with some healthcare technology, and probably beat Einstein to a physics paper, because he published at 2023, so I was like 18. And then like the Social Network came along, so I just saw the movie. I'm like, no, I'll be like Zuckerberg, and like I'll do something. All the like kids dream when you see movies. I hope somebody can relate. But then I was stuck in a system where I used to go to college, and my professors were deliberate about just attendance. And whenever I used to ask a question, they couldn't solve it. But I realized I entered, and I took electronics and communication engineering, because, I don't know, because I really liked electronics and hardware, and I just thought that computers I already have a laptop, so I can do code, but I really need to go hardware and do some hardware electronics, which I might not get a chance later in life. That's why electronics communication. Moving forward, the curriculum was 30 years old, and the students around just wanted a great job in Google after 4 years, and everybody stressed on just study and get a job and have a great life and buy yourself a car and take care of your family. And I'm like, wow, is this how it's going to be? And everybody was bullish about attendance, and I couldn't deal with it, because I have been a hardworking kid since like 14, 15. So I'm like, let me just search something or find myself, and I just got lost when I was 19, 20. I was in the hostel, so I had that area where my parents didn't know all of what I was doing, so I was trying to figure it out, so I just started going outside. And then art came along, and that was 19. So I just started writing initially, and then spoken word was going around the rounds back in the day. And I'm like, let me just start speaking words while writing, because when I speak with the words, it's more relatable, you can communicate better. So then this is a photo after 3 years of me starting my journey. I got called to Goa for a festival and I'm reciting my poetry. And I just like sometimes write small little things so that I can motivate myself, because I think we just need self-motivation. That's me performing at the Indian Literature Festival at Habitat. And this is like one of the small little snippets of my videos of, so first like how I perform basically.
I'm a 10-year-old trapped in a body of 20. When solving math was just child's play, 25 plus 26 was same as 3 multiplied 1, 7. And watching Pokemon was all I used to care. I'm a 10-year-old trapped in a body of 20. 27 different sketches I made. 27 different sketches I made using crayons and pastel colors my mother let me purchase, which gave me a smile which nothing could ever take. I'm a 10-year-old trapped in a body of 20.
So then I'm like, you know what, let me begin my musician journey. So I buy a harmonica and I buy a guitar. I'm like, let's play something, because I really wanted to communicate via it, and I saved up some money. And I'm like, okay, Dad, Mom, I'm like doing this. So that's again me playing guitar. I started playing guitar and then I got to the stage. It's like a journey. Like I started like 4 years back, and then I got to the stages. And I'm just sharing it to you that the power of believing in yourself and believing in what you find meaning in and what can happen. Because all of this, I keep on getting called in for events, national. And I just never applied for them, and I just realized this is so beautiful that I really gave to art, and I really believe in something, and now it's coming back to me. And trust me, I respect it. I don't take any day for granted. I don't take any stage for granted. And just by giving so much to other people, I've received so much. So I hope you can also like understand with that psychology and probably apply that to your life. Funny thing, like these like musicians behind me, they are like they are India's international like greatest musicians, jazz musicians right now alive. The pianist is a different guy. He's like 55 years old, and he has like recorded with major labels and whatnot. And they just gave me a call and be like, hey, we want spoken word jazz to happen, and we want you to become a jazz vocalist. Come by and we will do some funky jazz. I'm like, wow, this is like a movie, and okay, let's do this. So this is one of that set. And I'm like, I really want to give back to the community, and I really want to find meaning. And every day for me is like finding meaning, from having this kind of hair to like wearing these kind of badges. It's always about what's meaningful. Then I started making documentary films with my friends, and we started doing all these documentary filmmaking things. This is basically, we were doing some commercial work for a book which was getting released, and we were making like the trailer for that book. So interestingly, I was acting in this one. Then I started taking pictures. I got a DSLR, and I started taking pictures. I started traveling, and then luckily 2 of my pictures were selected for the Goa's fest, and these pictures were in the Museum of Goa for the past 2 months, being there for everybody to see. And yeah, I was just like, wow, this is the power of art. These are 2 pictures, this is my smiling face, these are the people watching all the artworks, and probably mine also, hopefully. Then I'm like, you know what, climate is going bizarre, and what can I do? I don't have the money, I'm not Bezos that I can sponsor like $100 million funds and whatnot. So I'm like, the simple things that all of us can do, you can do, I can do, everybody can do. We can just take 2-3 saplings and go together like in a format and just plant around the campus, and in 10 years you'll have a forest. And I was just volunteering with this organization, and they have converted barren land into forests, like literally forests, 25 years. We have satellite images, and when I saw the real impact, when I saw the large scale work which can happen, and just by going out and planting, so I did that, and that's my planter in me. I've been a past debater, so this is MUNs, these are debates. I went to Harvard to represent India for the Harvard National Model United Nations, which is like the world's oldest United Nations. So I was competing with Harvard grads, Yale grads, Stanford grads. So this is me debating there. This is me 4 years back, and this is me with like a cool dude from Stanford. And I went to the United Nations headquarters because I really wanted to feel like Obama at 20. So that happened. Then this is our team representing India. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a computer programmer for sure, because I love programming. I love what technology can relate impact. So I started programming, and I still program. And I program everywhere I can go. And then I'm like, you know what? I really want to also be a designer, or like an architect, designer, artist. and a sculpture later for sure. So initially I just started doing this, so I'm like doing in my friend's garage work. So these are basically braille art, and these are like basically braille pendants. It just costs so less to build it, and you like the blind can give to the blind. We have been thinking about giving gifts to each other, like bouquets and books and whatnot, but nobody thinks about the disadvantaged community. Nobody thinks about the secluded community. So I'm like, what can I do? Like, just as a single person, what can I do? I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do some things which I find meaning. So I created braille art, and now two friends can just give it to themselves and they can read it that I love you too. And I just thought that they'd be so happy reading it if a friend gave it to them. And everybody's busy creating commercial art and whatnot. But I thought I really want to stick with me, and it's okay if I don't make money out in my life and I die as a broke artist or something. But I'm too young right now to think about money, and meaning is missing. So I just created this braille art, and you can like hang, give it as a pendant, give it as a bracelet, and this is just the starting idea. You can do so much about it. And I hang out at art events and shows now to find inspiration, because you should never stop learning. You should never feel that you're complete. Yeah. Field work. So this is one of my community organizations which I started when I was 20, I think, yeah, in August of 2016. And the whole idea was, I'm going to bootstrap, because, you know, entrepreneur, everybody wants them to be an entrepreneur. That's a great thing. That's how we'll develop and go forward and challenge and break the system and build new ones for inclusivity. And then I wanted to work for the community for sure. And I'm all social right now. There's a very humanitarian socialist inside. And I'm just trying to still understand the modus operandi of the day so that I can do something in 5-10 years later. So I started making safe spaces and performance spaces for budding local artists. So I kind of achieved like a significant amount of success in 2-3 years. And I'm like, I really want to. I'm just gonna do it for the person who has never done art before, who has never even come to art. And trust me, in our shows, in our events, in our workshops, people from all walks of life come. Because my mother started writing just now because I was pushing her, okay, please, please, please. So after 2 years, she's already like publishing things now. So I'm like, I'm gonna build spaces, safe spaces for budding artists, because everybody has this fear that you will be judged by Shakespeare's writing, or you will be judged by Arundhati Roy's writing, or you'll be judged by Faiz Ahmed Faiz's writing, or you will be judged by, let's say, Manto's writing. So, but I'm like, I was a local artist, people gave me spaces to come in and walk in for free and just attend great events, meet great people. I'm just going to give back and do it for all the people who are like first year in college, second year of college. Because trust me, I was as lost as anybody could imagine when I was in my first year of college. And alone. I couldn't tell it to my father that, Dad, you are giving so much of money for my education and for my hostel and tuition fee. And I'm coming from a working class family. But yeah, all I'm saying is I'm still coming from a working class family. And I just felt like, there's so much of money, I could have like done something with it, but I'm just stuck. So for any first year, second year college or anybody, I can totally relate to you if you're lost, if you don't know what you have to do, if you're stuck, if you're thinking that your parents' money is being wasted, which they have worked so hard and they're still going to. My father is like 64, he still goes to office at 8 in the morning and comes back at 8 in the evening. And I feel like, so I'm like, okay, let's build spaces. So then we start doing shows, curating spaces, and I'm like, I'm gonna like add more twists and turns to it to make space more inclusive, to represent the women folks, to represent the queer folks, because they are the underrepresented communities, they are the misunderstood communities, and we as people always have to think of giving it to people and trying to, if I'm powerful, my job is to help the person who is not. My job is to lift people, and I'm going to do it with whatever matters, and right now I can do this, so I will do that. We got houseful shows, I was like, whoa, the power of just working for people and the power of doing something which brings everybody together. And trust me, when I started like making my community happen, I started learning so much because I used to meet tremendous people at every event of mine, which anybody over here can start a community. If you're interested about something, trust me, the odds are 10 people around you also are, and another 10 people in some other city are, and then you can have a family. Because we all in the end want a family, and we all in the end want to be understood, is what I feel personally, and for me, that was that. More events, so we started curating visual art exhibitions and giving spaces to photographers and filmmakers and artists, because I was also starting that journey. This was also important for me to give back. Luckily, we got called at the IPL to perform for them. And I'm like, what's happening? What is this weird world doing? And we performed at the IPL, you can see the Sony Max thing. tremendous. Then our work got called in for community work, and we gave a speech about the same thing, computer programming to create art. Computer programming in the Indian domain is basically starting from study data structures, study algorithms, study probability, study statistics, and then go to Google. Go to Google Summer of Code, go to Hack MIT. Listen, I have had my engineering journey, I've done this, I've failed. But it is such a bad way to go about computer programming and to go about code. And I wanted to really learn code because I got my first laptop when I was age 18. Before that, I was operating a Nokia 56. So like my life is too like old, right? Coming from that angle. So I'm like, I really want to learn to code, but I really want to be motivated enough to code. And then there is this thing called computer coded art. We call it generative art. It's in the new media art domain. So anybody who's having issues with not understanding computer code and being like, this is not meant for me, just check out generative art and how you can create art via code. So you can create visual art, you can create sonic art, and you can save a lot of money just by doing a computer code rather than getting a synthesizer and a MIDI keyboard and doing it from them. So there's a couple of examples I'm just going to play too. You'll see what happens now. So basically you can create any kind of visuals you want via code. And this is basically live coding, live visuals. So any designer, future designers in the crowd, here's the fans. Oh, I saw that. So you can just learn to code and make design, trust me. So imagine like changing the slides all by yourself and helping simple people lead a better one. And yeah, like the last end is art must devour hate. And given the dynamics of the country and the time we are living in and the future also, given if you would compare the Middle East and if you look at the States, if you look at Europe, and if you look at the uprisings, artists are going to save the world. It's only with art that you can really talk about the gone by times, and it's only through art which we have discovered the human gene code, going back to the caves and looking at the cave art and understanding the structure of the body. So don't think of art. In India, art is not that respected, but that's not the point. Art really helps the world. And in today's world, art must devour hate. And thank you for sticking by. And thank you for giving me this honor to be here. And I hope I can help in the coming 5-10 years to really change the world and have a real impact, have a large-scale impact. And obviously, I'm going to have fun with my art because, trust me, I find meaning in it. I still don't know the meaning of life, but I am pretty sure my life has been meaningful. So I think I'm happy living with that fact. Yeah.